Yes, rise and shine, rise and shine. This is the Man United Agenda morning roundup, and welcome. Welcome everyone. It's Friday morning, and I am here to do a little morning roundup. It's the weather's a bit grim. Hope it improved for the weekend. I got a football match on Sunday, and so have Man United. We're playing Newcastle, of course. I know you guys must have tuned in yesterday for the Europa League. We just about scraped it through, but we dominated the game. A few pleasing things, a few still a work in progress, I reckon. We'll come on to that a bit later, but I just want to talk about a couple of talking points here. It's another Brazilian that we're looking at. There's a guy called Marcus Leonardo. He plays for Santos. He's 19 years old, and he's a striker. And obviously, we'd need someone in that position. I'm going to come on to someone else that you may well know about from the Dutch league later. But first of all, let me talk about Marcus Leonardo, because Arsenal are interested in him, and we are as well, apparently, according to the Mirror. He expresses a desire to play in England. He says, I want to play in the Premier League one day. Now, this is a young player. He's got 31 goals in 112 games for Santos, which you think, well, is the goal ratio really that good? But you have to look at the player and see what he's got. Now, I've just had a quick brief look on him, and he's about 5'10". He's very strong, looks physically very strong, got a bit of pace as well. Plays as a number 9 for Santos, so down the middle. And a lot of his plays is really he can play with his back to goal, popping it off. He can get in and behind. He's got the pace. I've seen him with that acceleration to get in behind, and a really good finish, low in the corners, that kind of thing. Now, with Arsenal interested, Arsenal have bought some players from Brazil recently, and indirectly from Brazil. I think when you look at the Brazilian market, it was a long time ago. I remember when Mirandinha came to Newcastle United. This is maybe in the sort of 86, 87, I think it was. And he was an international. He was playing for Brazil. He's an international player. Didn't work out for him going to the Northeast. He was one of the first Brazilians to come over here. He scored a few goals, very talented, played with Gaza, and just didn't work out. He sort of faded out and went back home eventually. But he was one of the first Brazilians to come over. But recently, we've had a lot of Brazilian players. The markets have opened up to the UK. And Jesus is one for sure that we all know about, who's really killing it at the moment. He was obviously at Manchester City, and now he's at Arsenal. And I'm sure he's in everyone's fantasy football league team, because he's getting a lot of points, he's scoring a lot of goals, and as we saw when we played Arsenal recently, he's a real threat. He sort of occupies defenders, and he's a real top player. I appreciate him more since I've seen him at Arsenal than I did at City, because he didn't get much. He wasn't really in the spotlight. And also got Richarlison as well, someone we were interested in. He was bought by Watford a few years ago. They made a decision to buy him for 15. Well, I think it was 10, 15 mil. Since then, he's been sold on to Everton, and he's done really well there. Now he's gone to Spurs, so and he's an international as well. So I think the market for Brazil is quite interesting, and it's good to start looking at these players for sure. Let's just go to a few comments here. FC United Forever saying, who gets up early for this? Yes, it is early. But it's actually 10. It's brunch time, not real breakfast time. So hopefully you guys, if you're at work, you're settled by now and settling down. I want to say hi to Amp Project. He said, why did Ronaldo put his arms up at the end for offside? Surely he didn't try to convince the linesman that Tomley was offside. Okay. It's funny that, because the other day, Ronaldo gets so much pressure. He's under the spotlight. When we scored the other day, when Rashford scored the other day, who was it against? I can't remember now. And Ronaldo done a run for him, and he created a chance, the space for him to score. They zoomed in on Ronaldo, and they said he was fake smiling for Rashford, like he wasn't really happy for him. He would rather it be himself to score the goals. I like Ronaldo's attitude, and it does seem a bit selfish sometimes, but I do like that in a player. FC United Forever saying, poor Papa got the morning shift. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. And I'm here, and I'm going to wake you guys up. So rise and shine. And big up to Colin as well. Go and check out Sports Network, our sister channel. Colin, I must say you're doing a fantastic job. And maybe we need to do a little collab, because I know you know all about these young players coming through. I'm just learning about this guy. So Marcus Leonardo, go and check him out. Plays for Santos. And he's another one of a long list of players from Brazil that seem to be on the market. What do you guys think about him? What do you think about the Brazilian market? how do you transfer? So he scored 31 goals in 112 games for Santos. Now, can we really gauge how good he is based on that? Are you expecting a lot higher ratio because of the league that he plays in, or do you consider his age? Should we really do the eye test and go and check him out and see what sort of he's got, what qualities he has, that kind of thing? Because I think it is hard to gauge, and you can't say he's going to be prolific. He's not prolific already. He's got what, 1 in 3 almost, or just under that. He's a developing player. Maybe he's got more to his game. Maybe he's got character. Maybe he's been highly touted for certain reasons. So I'm sure there's a number of factors there that make him a good player. FC United is going saying, "Well, I'm off to bed shortly, not long home." Oh dear, I'm working a night shift, eh? That's not good. Well, enjoy your rest, and try and stay with us if you can. We're not going to be on here for long. So talking about strikers, that was Marcus Leonardo. I'm going to talk about, there's other news again, and it's coming up again. It's about Gakpo. Cody Gakpo, guys. You know about him, the tall, string bean Dutch striker or winger who's playing for PSV. And PSV have got a good record of Brazilian strikers as well. Remember, they had Romario, who smashed it over there, and then he got R9 Ronaldo as well. They had him as well. But yeah, so he's playing for them at the moment. We were linked with Gakpo, weren't we, like in the summer? And I think there's a possibility that we would have got him if we hadn't spent so much money on Anthony. That's definitely the issue there. I think he was very interested because Leeds were sniffing around as well. But apparently, according to David Ernstein, he's saying that it's relatively high a possibility that he would still come to Man United, maybe in January. Who knows? Leeds were interested. Gakpo says, well, apparently Gakpo was waiting. The reason he rejected Leeds was because he was waiting for an offer from Man United. So clearly there's been some communications of some sort for this player because he does seem to fit the bill. He's tall, he's fast. I've heard, I think it was Bill Badger or Box, and I do agree with him. They mentioned that he reminds them of Rashford, sort of similar player. He can play from the left. He's fast. He can get in behind. He can finish off things as well. I've been watching him a lot. He's been on our radar a lot now lately, hasn't he? And since players come on our radar, and then we get to see more of them. He plays in Europe with PSV. We see him for Holland as well. He's scoring goals. Finished off a beautiful move in their last international game as well. So at first I dismissed him, but the more you see of him, and the more you realise that the scouts and the club maybe are interested in this guy, I think it's worth a shout. And I've sort of changed my opinion maybe to say, okay, maybe is a possibility for what his game. He's got a good game, as most Dutch players do. The only thing I thought was he's a bit tall and slim and not strong enough maybe. But I think I'm being too critical. He seemed to have a lot of intelligence, and he does finish his dinner. That's a good thing as well. And his link-up play is good. So you guys, what do you think about Cody Gakpo? Is that worth a punt? And sort of how much money do you reckon we would be willing to spend on someone like that? Because come the World Cup, he maybe will be in the Dutch team and could shine. And then they're going to add, 20, 30 million to that sort of price. So what do you guys think? And you're calling me Mr. Pink. Yes, it's Solo. That's Solo, Mr. Pink. Solo's in the comments as well. Big up to Solo. How you doing? Column saying Mbappe to United for CR7 and 100 million. Is that a possibility? We've heard a few rumours recently. Obviously, we know Ronaldo might be leaving at some point. His contract runs out in 2023 in the summer. So there's an issue. We could be asking for an extension. But Mbappe, there's so much going on with him right now, isn't there? He's playing with Messi and Neymar. He's one of the most renowned players out there in world football. He's paid a lot. And he's really is that good, as he proved in the 2018 World Cup. Since then, he's been on fire. When he came through at Monaco, I remember he'd done some damage to Manchester City in the Champions League. And obviously, he was signed for PSG, sorry. I'm focusing on Dutch football. Considering, yeah, we're always linked with Dutch players, aren't we? So, yeah, Mbappe would be fantastic. Imagine Man City having Haaland and we having Mbappe and then going head-to-head. Sort of remind me of Messi at Barcelona and Ronaldo going to Real Madrid and that sort of rivalry. They sort of pushed each other on, didn't they? And I think at the moment, if you're talking Ballon d'Or and sort of the most renowned players in world football, I think it would have to be those two coming up at the moment. 23 years old Mbappe and 22 Haaland. So I don't know what you guys think about that. How realistic is that? When we did discuss it the other day, and most people were saying, let's forget about him. Let's try and bring someone through the club, and rather than just buy marquee signings all the time. But he is good. Don't forget, guys, Newcastle this weekend, and Solo, as he's saying here, there will be a preview show tonight at 8:30 on the Man United agenda. So check that out for sure. It's definitely worth 60 million, I would say, says Solo. Talking about Conor Gakpo, Gakpo, sorry, 60 million. That's not bad. It was a lot less than that, though, wasn't it, Solo, a few weeks ago? Not so, yeah. I don't know, 60 million for him. Maybe after the World Cup, it will go up, yeah. FC United forever saying, never happened, Column. United can't afford the wages. That's referring to Mbappe. Let's just talk about the game. We've moved on now. So we definitely need strikers. If anyone knows about any other good strikers in Europe, in around world football, or even in the Prem or lower leagues, that would be suitable for Man United, let me know. Let me know what you think in the comments, because we do need some wingers and strikers maybe as backup, or we can rely on the manager to coach some players to come through. Let's talk about the game yesterday. I know a lot of you guys weren't really too happy about the performance. Before we do, Cody said 40 million for Cody. Yeah, I'm with you, Colin, on that one. I think that's more a realistic price at this moment, unless he smashes it at the World Cup. So the manager was putting a sort of brave face on the performance yesterday, or the result. I mean, we got a last-minute goal, which is our forte, isn't it, at Man United? You can never write us off. I think it was 93rd minute, was it? Right towards the end, Tommy stepped up. Now, is this credit to the manager? I mean, it's the impact of the subs, isn't it? We've seen this in recent weeks with Rashford and Martial. Martial coming on, getting a brace the other day against City, and then the following game after that, there's subs have been made, and they've made a difference. So it shows about the squad game and the importance of having a big squad at Manchester United. So yesterday, I mean, we're clearly a better team. We were dominating possession and that kind of thing. So the manager saying it's not about the 11 players. Opponents get tired, he's saying here. The subs made the impact, and they had to have the right attitude and the right focus and be fresh when they come on to make that difference. He gave an example. He was not just talking about the attackers. He's talking about defenders as well. He gave an example about Varane. He brought Varane on as well against Everton. And Varane made some massive contributions in defence, especially with Pickford coming up for corners or big free kicks. Varane was there to sort of edge him out, and block him and that kind of thing. And that made a difference, he felt. So the manager indirectly is taking a lot of credit for the substitutions. He's the one who makes the call, and they have made a difference. And we have to accept that over recent weeks. And I do like the boss, by the way. He said, we kept faith in the process, and talking about the game yesterday, because we kept grinding them down, kept probing, even though it was getting desperate towards the end for the fans watching. That's why we scored, he said. So keeping faith with the process is that why we scored. And I just want to refer back to Everton. Everton were 2-1 down against us. It was 2-1 in the first half. The whole second half, we sort of dominated the game as well. But they couldn't probe. They couldn't break us down. We were too solid. They couldn't really create much chances. So in the last 10 minutes, they went 2 up front, and they started lumping balls up front, for that first and second ball. High balls, sort of like 80s old school football. And that's when I thought, okay, that's a wrap. We've got this now. We should be able to deal with everything. And that's luckily we didn't go to that sort of desperation yesterday. We persisted via the manager to keep grinding down, trying to work openings. And I think that takes a lot of patience as well, because it's quite easy to start crashing the ball into the box. And defenders will win that every time, I imagine. Colin saying here about last night. He said last night was okay. We created a lot of chances. The team seemed to be understanding each other. Others' strengths and weaknesses more each game. So we've been improving game by game. The only worry is that it's 1-0 after all the shots that we had. Yeah, that's a good point. I want to say hi to Pat Lawless, my buddy. We did the reaction show together last night. Hope you're doing well, Pat, and have a good day at work. Big up to you. Urban K in the gaff. That's right. Yes, he is. He's in the house. And Colin saying here, massive props to their goalkeeper last night. He was immense. He made a lot of good saves, didn't he? Hopefully that puts him in the spotlight, because maybe for his international team, Nigeria, and maybe he can get a move from that to better himself and get more money. Finally, the manager said about their performance, he said he hopes that we saved our goals for the next game, which would be Newcastle. And that's true, isn't it? I mean, we didn't score. We only scored one. It was 1-0 in the end. But hopefully we can get we want to see like a 4 or 5-0. That's refreshing, isn't it? To show the hard work that we've been putting in. At the moment, 2-1 Everton, 3-2 last week in the Europa League, 1-0 again. We're winning by a goal or so. So it would be nice for the fans to have that big win. And maybe it could come against Newcastle, who no mugs anymore, are they? I mean, think Newcastle, with all the money they have, probably the richest club in the world, they're on the up, and they will be there soon. So we have to put a marker down to say you're not ready yet, in a way, you know. And hopefully the manager's right that we do save our goals for that game. FC United forever saying, and the United supporter 2-1 for the FC monitor list. Yep, I want to say good morning to SHAH. Hope you're doing well, SHAH. Big up to the Man United Agenda panelist. He's saying big up, as Roy Keane would say, that's his job, ref their keeper. Yeah, that's correct. So, yeah, the manager's speaking positively. Obviously, he's sort of indirectly bigging up himself by talking about impact subs, the squad game. But he's always saying about the right attitude. He wants the right attitude from players. And that's the key thing, isn't it? You can have all the ability in the world, but if you don't have the right attitude and you don't put the work in, and you're not focused, then it's not really going to work out for you, as we see with players in the past, Ravel Morrison, for example. Finally, guys, you're going to love this because I've chosen a special subject to the end. I've been reading the news, and according to England manager Southgate, he virtually guarantees Harry Maguire a key role in the World Cup this year. So it's a few weeks away, 5-6 weeks away, the World Cup. I don't know if you guys are looking forward to it, because I don't like breaks in the Premiership, and especially when it's international football. But we got a break in the Premiership for a month, and there won't be any Prem games. So it's like, oh God, here we go. But it's a World Cup, and I think World Cups are made for the summer. So it's going to be really interesting to see what the energy is like for this World Cup come 5-6 weeks away. So you have to look at the history. So with Harry Maguire, he seems like he's guaranteed a place in the side. Southgate trusts him, doesn't he? He obviously has a lot of faith in him. It's one of his main soldiers, his backup, his boss man. You know, when he's in trouble, this man has been there on the front line with me, and that's why I'm going to pick him. And it's caused a lot of controversy, hasn't it? Because obviously Harry Maguire hasn't been playing well for last season at Manchester United. He's lost his confidence, it seems, but not with England. Southgate is backing him all the way. So it'll be really interesting if Harry Maguire doesn't play much for Man United this season. And come the World Cup, he's in the squad. And he's in the first team as well. And with his records, if you look at it, in the last World Cup, they got to the semi-finals with Harry Maguire as the main man in defence. And in the Euros recently, Harry Maguire was there, got them to the final, and even banging a penalty in the shootout with a lot of confidence. One of the best penalties in the shootout, I believe, you know. So there is a player there. Just unfortunate that he's not doing it for Man United. I think most people would have, at the moment, Varane and Martinez ahead of him. And even with Lindelof as well. Lindelof has come in. A lot of people have been impressed with him as well. So I actually want to say this about Harry Maguire and being selected for England for the World Cup. It's a bonus. I think it's a win-win for Man United because, for one, a lot of people don't want him at the club. If he plays well, that will put him in a shop window. Maybe that'll help get him a move if that's what you guys want. Or if he plays well, he could get a lot of confidence and come back to the club with that confidence restored and be a good asset for our squad again, you know, and maybe get fans on side. Who knows what would happen? It's really interesting, that, isn't it? So what do you guys think about Harry Maguire? Also want to ask you, I know there's Tomori from AC Milan, ex-Chelsea player. I do like him. He's putting up good numbers this season. I think he should be selected quite possibly. But beyond Tomori, how many other England players, centre-backs, would you choose? I know John Stones is a shoo-in. He's played with Conor Cody recently, Tyrone Mings, but I don't think they're good enough, to be fair. I think Maguire is over them. So for me, it's Tomori, Stones, and Maguire. These are the main centre-backs. Obviously, he plays, what's his name? The right-back from City, sometimes playing the back three. Carl Walker, he sort of plays there as well. So the mix up. But when you think about squad, England are really struggling for centre-backs at the moment. Not right-backs. They've got plenty right-backs. And one of them could have been Wan-Bissaka. I mean, I feel sorry for Wan-Bissaka at the moment because he's someone in his age. He can say, I was in my prime of my career. We had a World Cup and I didn't even make the squad. Maybe because there's too many good right-backs, but he's not even getting first-team football to even put himself in the reckoning either, is he? So let's have a look at this, what they're saying, because I know I might be getting pelters right here. Colin, he's saying Maguire shouldn't be selected for the World Cup squad, not because I don't like him. It's for the fact that he hasn't played. Players that are playing week in, week out get overlooked. Favourites, he's saying. Emma here is saying, I'm glad I'm not English. Where are you from, Emma? I thought you would have been English. FC United Forever saying, who's this Harry Maguire? Never heard of him. Is he any good? Well, yes, you will find out in the World Cup. Okay, here we go. Here's one. Ben White, I didn't mention him. Ben White over Maguire. Now, Ben White is playing football. Granted, could be a right back at the moment, but he's proven he's an up-and-coming player, playing for a team top of the table in Arsenal right now. So, yeah, that I would put him in contention as well. That's a good shout from you, Colin. Bill Badger saying Gakpo is going for around 50 million. Would be good business. Something on Monday, yeah. Big up. Oh, good morning. Sorry, good morning to Bill Badger. Yeah, good morning to you, man. Rise and shine. I don't like saying good morning. I like saying rise and shine and giving thanks. You know, morning sounds like you're mourning something. You know, like a funeral. English language is no good. So I think it's very trickery. So rise and shine to you, Bill Badger. Yes, hope you're doing well. And I do agree. We mentioned 30, 40 million, 50 million. Yeah, max for Gakpo at this current time. I do agree. Emma's just reminded me that Wan-Bissaka is injured at the moment, though. Yeah, that is true. But hopefully he can get back, because when you look at a player's career, it's very short. There's not many opportunities to play for the World Cup, in the World Cup or big tournaments. He's already missed the Euros last year. He was never in contention for that. So he really needs to have to reflect and sort of try to say, where am I going with my career? Because he's missed out on big tournaments. And at one stage, I think when we signed him, there was a possibility he could have been in the England squad. I think he was one. He's had a couple of caps, hasn't he? A bit like Steve Bruce and Pallister didn't get many caps playing for Manchester United, even though they were quality at the time. But at the time, they had Tony Adams and Mark Wright and a lot of other players as well. So there you go, guys. That's the morning roundup. Just quickly, I hope you guys have a lovely day, whatever you're doing. Don't forget tonight at 8:30, as Solo was saying earlier, we're doing a preview show for the Newcastle game. I don't know what you guys think about Newcastle. Are they really a threat at the moment? Do you like their players? Do you like how they play their football? If you look at their players man for man, like the other day, they played Jacob up front. They had a front three of Connor Wilson, Alaman, and Jacob, the guy who's played for Norwich with the brother. He was playing the three of them. And I'm thinking, this is a championship level top three. But it's not about that, is it? You know, you go to their midfield. They've got Joe Lilton. They've got Bruno. They've got a few good players there. You know, the homegrown player as well. So it's the way the manager's done a good job with them. So I have to appreciate that this is going to be a tough game against Newcastle United. So tune in at 8:30 for that. Don't forget, guys, at 10 o'clock tonight, we have got the takeaway, and that's with Mr. B and TalkMU, and they will be dropping some gems and having a few guests on as well. Just going to go through the final comments here. Obviously, he's injured. Thanks, Emma, for that. FC United saying, Ireland ain't in the World Cup, Papa. Maybe in 16 years. Maybe you should start recruiting some English players again, like Andy Townsend and guys like that, McAteer. Emma's saying, in Danish and our NT. I'm Danish, sorry. Emma, I had no idea. I thought you were English, but you know a lot about football. I love listening to your comments, reading them out. And she said, I'm Danish, and our national team said some time ago, indirectly-ish, that a player should find a new club that would actually play him, rather, otherwise he won't go to a tournament. So there you go with the Danish team. They've done really well. They're really on the up, aren't they? I remember in 86 with Laudrup and who's that striker, big, strong striker they had. They've done really well, didn't they? Beat Uruguay, beat Spain, and Laudrup walked the ball into the net. They had a brilliant side then. So big up to the Danes. Big up to Colin. Have a lovely day, guys. We're going to sign out now. I really do appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure you don't forget to tune into the Man United Agenda on tonight, 8:30 and 10 p.m. And for now, I'm signing out and saying have a lovely, lovely day. Goodbye.